Haven't seen you guys since last year.
Zing.
Ding. What do you call a fish in medical school?
This is the Ray Quack Western.
No.
Shoot.
Ben?
Fish.
A fish in medical school. Todd? No? A sturgeon. All right, we're ready to go back into Big Ten play. We're excited to have Minnesota coming in. Obviously, you watch scores and games around the league. You know, it's as normal. Get your popcorn, buckle in. It'll be a wild ride. So, you know, I thought we played really well going through the film of Friday night, really clean. You know, I thought, as I said after that game Friday night, that I thought they hit a lot of tough shots, what they did. But, you know, I think a lot of good things for having that much time off in between games. I thought we prepared well, and they're in a good place right now. So I know they're excited to get back to league play, and now we know what's in front of us and looking forward to tomorrow night. So, questions?
Greg, you said after the game last night, I think before that too, that you've changed your thoughts about when you give guys time off and how much.
Mm-hmm.
How has that developed with you? I mean, is that like we're talking decades of thinking that has changed recently, or what's been your process like?
Yeah, I think, you know, the schedule a lot of times dictates what you can or cannot do. And quite frankly, we haven't had that much time. I haven't had that much time off as a coach since I was with Bo in Platteville in the 90s, when we would have 6, 7, 8 days, you know, in between the holidays, where if we weren't playing in a holiday tournament somewhere, we came back after finals and didn't have anything till around the first of the year. So we always had a larger break. And I always thought that was good because it was a refresher type of feeling as you came back from that. And with this group, obviously I mentioned the foreign tour. I thought that's always a fear as a coach. That's one of the negatives. There aren't many negatives, but that's one of them, that if you get yourself in a position coming through the back half of your season, does the summer start to catch up to you? So I think, you know, overall I've looked at more as, you know, more is not necessarily necessary. Less is more, actually, not even in terms of time off, but even practice time. You know, we've shortened things. You know, I'll start now even more as we go into conference play. It'll go from, you know, an hour 30, hour 40 to an hour 15, hour 10. By the time we hit mid-February, it'll be under an hour. So just staying sharp. You know, there'll be always some fine-tuning and things you have to do, but I think since you like all my bad dad jokes, I've kind of viewed it as it has to look and feel like it does when you go to the grocery store and you're looking at the produce aisle, okay? The produce fridge area, everything has to be fresh and healthy. So that's the motto: stay fresh and healthy.
Green and growing.
Do you got that, Evan? Did you catch that? You got it?
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Obviously, you're resuming Big Ten play at home, but you got a road game coming up Saturday, and last year your record on the road in Big Ten play probably led you to getting a share of the title. There's no one formula to winning on the road, but what are some of the things you think as a coach your team absolutely must do on the road, no matter who you play, to be successful?
Right. I think the thing that's kept us successful, in the road record we've had over the last 2 decades, is that the routine and preparation is very similar to what it is at home. You can't exactly mimic it because you are in a hotel, but we've tried to do even scouting reports here now, and we used to do them always. We'd pack all the equipment and do them on the road. And there are situations where we do a film review, but by and large, we try to keep everything as identical to how a home game is in terms of your preparation, and I don't talk about a road game any differently than I do a home game. The keys and the formula to success is very similar, and you block out the distractions and crowd, and you have to do that at home too. You know, I think so. I think the key is, you know, stay very much consistent. Stay as consistent as possible in your routine and in what you're doing, and I think players appreciate that. I think they don't like. I never try to throw them surprises if I don't have to. If I don't have to shake them up. I try to keep them, they know what's coming, what to expect. Yeah.
Greg, you said after the win, Steven's confidence is just growing. You're seeing a lot of growth in him, especially a performance like that, starting out Big Ten player, getting into the bulk of conference play. How does a performance like that help him get off on the right foot for conference?
Well, I think it's it's another validation that he, as much as I talk to him about that, playing with confidence and what I feel about him and my thoughts about him as a player, when he can go do it and validate it himself on the court, that's even more impactful than what I can say. So I think that's the thing, is he's been able to have production that backs up what I've seen in him, and we know he's a talented player, and I think it's just another step in his development, and hopefully he keeps going.
Greg, Jordan Davis talked about this before the season about being who he is and not who his brother was. Do you think for the most part he has played his strengths and, for use of a cliche, stayed in his lane, who he is as a player, to help you guys win games?
Yeah, I think he's gotten better at it. I think he's still learning that, but I think there's definitely been a marked improvement to staying consistent. And I think that's why he's been consistent, because he understands who he is and who he needs to be to help us have success. Yep.
With Kurt Gilmore, given his dad's background, it seems like he's probably heard a lot of the same teachings for his entire basketball career. Do you see that, and has that helped him in terms of how he's developed in what you guys want him to do, and just the language maybe, or how little fundamentals work?
Yeah, and it's not only Brian. Actually, Stephanie's the best player in the household. So his mom is still, I think, holds the all-time scoring record at Platteville on the women's side. So, yeah, I mean, I noticed that from day one. I mean, he understood hand targets. He understood footwork. The simple things that we are sometimes new to freshmen. He had obviously heard it, seen it, done it. And then it's a matter of him, the jump he's taken is jump physically, which has helped him take the jump mentally. And I think he's always had the basketball IQ and the understanding. Physically, he needed to, take a jump forward and commit to it completely, which he's done. But yeah, you can definitely tell. I mean, he understands everything, that we do, and picks up on it really quick. His IQ is pretty high in that regard. But to your point, Todd, yeah, I saw that in the first few days he was here as a freshman, that you could tell he was kind of a mini version of his dad, or a younger version of his dad.
Coach, I know you're focused on this year's guys, but you sent a big guy that might be able to help you next year, and Gus Yalden. I know he's been around this program, pretty much his whole life, and coming to camps since he was little. I'm curious, what were your first impressions of him? Do you kind of remember him before high school, in some of your youth camps, and when did you kind of have a idea that this guy might be a recruit for us someday?
Yeah, I think you remember bits and pieces of him coming here for camps. I think Gus he's one of those guys that has a personality you don't forget. So, which I think everybody here is going to really love. Him being here, but he's, even though he went through all the other recruiting process, I think at the heart of hearts he always wanted to be here, and for us there were things he had to show, and still things. I think he's improved, and talking to him with what he's done physically to improve himself. Obviously he's playing at a very good place at Lalamere and against great competition. So the key with Gus, as with really everybody, is the desire to want to be here will help you through the rough days, because there will be rough days for every single freshman. That ask Connor Essegian about rough days, and everybody goes through them. So the desire to really want to be here and have that at the heart of it, I think for all those guys, you look at Jack or Nolan, Jonathan was just in for the last game before he goes back at it over in Detroit. So all those guys have a burning desire. They really want to be at Wisconsin, and that amongst probably above anything else, because again, they get told so many good things of how college is going to be this and that, and it's all good. And I have gotten more and more brutally honest with guys as they sit in my office, like, this is going to be hard. Don't let anybody tell you it's not going to be hard. There's going to be rough days, but we have people here and resources that can help you through that, teammates, etc. But at the end of the day, the desire to be here will trump all those rough days. They'll help pull you through, and Gus is another example of it. The time comes down the road when he gets here, along with those other guys. That'll be a good group.
Greg, in recruiting, how tough is it to project leadership qualities and locker room fit when you're looking at a guy? You can tell if he has the raw skills, but in terms of that mental aspect, how challenging is that?
Yeah, I think the fit probably goes hand in hand with the leadership, and you never know how, the Brad Davisons of the world are unicorns that you could tell from a mile away a long time ago that he was going to be a really good leader, because everybody leads in different ways, and that's great. There needs to be different styles of leadership, but I think until I've always felt leadership is organic. I can't anoint somebody a leader. I see qualities, communication ability, work ethic. You have to be able to do the job yourself first before you can tell other people how to do it. So it's usually very successful players that do a good job of taking that leadership role. And some are more comfortable in their voice than others. And some of them, like Tyler Wall, has gotten more comfortable, where 18 months ago, he wouldn't take that onus upon him. So you look for it. I think there's, everybody has some sort of leadership capability. It's not always guards or backcourt players, but a lot of times it is, just because they have it in a quarterbacking position, so to speak, with the ball in their hands a lot. And my affinity for guys that have played football. And we've had a lot of guys that are quarterbacks or have been quarterbacks that understand the command of a huddle and those things, and playing a real, a bigger team sport, so to speak, with that many bodies on the field. So I think there's a lot of things. I don't think there's one specific thing that you see. And leadership can be developed too. We do things with a variety of things that we try to help our potential leaders become more comfortable in that role. Whoops.
Craig, it seems like Garcia's kind of been doing a little bit of everything for Minnesota so far this season. Just curious, what have you seen on tape from him?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see from a personal standpoint, because obviously I've known Dawson for a long time, and we recruited him, but that he's in a place where he's happy. I know bouncing around a little bit, he was trying to find what was right for him. So I think that's important individually for him as a person. But it's the 6'10", 6'11", really skilled, really shoots it. The ball comes off his hand really well, much like it did, when he was in high school and the previous stops. So I think he's in a position where he's mature now. He's got some years of experience under his belt, and he's found happiness, so to speak. And I don't know if the place is that, or just sometimes it just takes people a while to work your way through those things. But with whether it's him or Jamison Battle, obviously Talon Cooper that's come in as a transfer, numbers of assists to turnover ratio is really good, shooting the three really well. And then they're kind of incorporating 4 freshmen that are learning on the fly. So you can see the splashes of what they can be. And obviously Garcia and Battle, and now that he's back from an injury, they're the experienced vets along with Cooper. But it's a group much like what I thought of Western Michigan, that they're better than what their record says on paper, because you see instances of it clicking, and I think just have so many new parts and pieces that they're trying to find, that common ground where they're all on the same page.